Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of Destiny Rise of Iron. And overall, I'm not really happy with this DLC. Now, I usually like Destiny. I mean, I've come through all the weird and stupid stuff that Bungie's done, and this one I think Bungie was pretty much phoning it in to make a content drop to hold out for Destiny 2 when I actually think that it would have been better for them to just kind of leave Destiny as it was and kind of continue to do things like the April update going forward and incrementally increasing the light level, messing with some endgame content and all that, because to be honest with you, the Rise of Iron doesn't really fix much. It's not as big of a fix as like the Taken King was to actually fixing and kind of fine-tuning what Destiny should have been at launch. And even that is kind of hard to put down with $40 and this being $30. The campaign is more along the sides of House of Wolves and The Dark Below. I mean, it's a little longer than that, but it's too short in my opinion, and also doesn't really do too much lore-wise. I mean, it gives you stuff about the Iron Lords, but you can go through it so quickly, and it's like, okay, it just gave me flashbacks to Year 1 Destiny, where it's like, okay, I went here, I did this, I went here, I did that. I mean, it's better done. It's more along the vein of, it's like taking what they've learned with the Taken King, and then fusing it with kind of like backpedaling for the older DLC. It's really kind of strange in my opinion. I mean, I don't outright hate it. I'm glad that I have some stuff to do in Destiny and do it with my friends. But the main thing here that you're buying more so than anything is the raid more than the story. Whereas in the Taken King, you got raid and story and they were interwoven. With this, there's not as much interwovenness between the story and the raid. The boss actually kind of comes out of nowhere from the raid and you're like, who is this guy? I mean, you could go through the lore and find out that there's deeper connections between the villain in the raid, the final boss, and the Guardians, but you're like, okay. And then once you start getting the raid down competently enough, you can go through it kind of quickly. And that's mainly because there's just really two bosses, and you fight both of them twice. And it's just like, okay. I don't know what went on here because Vogue had, Vogue had two bosses as well, but you had to go through the plates, then you had to do the Templar, then you had to do the Gorgon, so I kind of consider their own kind of boss. Then you had to beat the one thing to get to Atheon, so actually, it's kind of a mini boss more than a big boss, and then Crota, there was like the Death Singer, which really was more of a mini boss as well than Crota itself. And then we had the Taken King, which I thought was the best with bosses in that you fought the War Priest, you fought Golgoroth, then you fought the Death Singers, then you fought Oryx. Granted, that was really mechanics heavy, and that if one person fucked up, you were kind of screwed and had to wipe. That still kind of carries over in the Wrath of the Machine raid. And that if one person kind of fucks up, mainly at the end boss, no, at the end boss in the Siege Engine, you pretty much have to wipe because of the time constraints of the Siege Engine and also the time constraints of the boss fight for Axis. And Bungie really took a step back in level progression for this raid. You get some they really screwed up the economy overall. Because it's gotten to a point where blues become almost irrelevant. Otherwise, you can sometimes get an exotic if you decrypt them for some odd-ass reason, and legendaries just become useless as well because they get capped out at decryption at 365. So you get stuck level progressing and like very easily. Now, the only way you can have beaten through that light leveling system, which if you're in a 5 light range, You sometimes get better things, but it was really, really hard to try and gear up to that raid in 3 days. They really should have held out longer if they were sticking to this kind of level progression system, which was a bottleneck and makes no sense compared to what was going on with the April update. With the April update, you had so many avenues to reach higher light levels and to get higher light level gear. What happened with Rise of Iron, to gear up for the raid, you beat the story missions, you get some things that are higher light level, but then you are to go into the heroic Siva strikes and grind that out until you get blues, which hopefully you get, which are better than what you got, and infuse them into your legendaries. You only get 2 of those. They had skeleton key drops, which you could have gotten the higher light level to go up to like 385, but it was really bad how rare the drops were for those skeleton keys. What happened was people would just do the Omnigul strike and farm the crap out of her to get up to 365, and then also try and farm her and possibly, I think, get skeleton keys and open up chests, and that's how they were able to get high enough for the raid. There was actually people doing a duplication method for Siva offerings in Archon's Forge, which is an alright public event, but you usually only get higher light level, like, artifacts or class items, and the rest of the armor and weapons cap out at 365. It's like, if you want people to play it, make it rewarding. And they will keep doing it because you've got more armor to infuse into it. It was a strange decision by Bungie because it was like they didn't care. It was more like, we want to bottleneck you after we've opened you up. It's like, so you're evidently going to open this up later to have people come in, because in my opinion, this content is going to last about a month. Hard mode's coming out on the 18th, and this raid is one of the least rewarding since the early days of VoG, in my opinion. Because you get 1 loot drop, which you could get duplicates out the ass on certain things, which, in my opinion, if you've got an RNG system, you need to make it so that you cannot get the same weapon within a light level difference. If you're getting the same weapon, it's gotta be either great. No. If you're getting a weapon, you should just get it once in 1 loot drop. Duplicates just completely invalidate what you have done, especially if they're within 1 light level difference. I got 2 rocket launchers once, one at 371 and one at 372. And I'm like, what am I? Whooped. I could have used something else. And then you get Siva fragments to make Siva keys to open up other chests. But the way it's done, you're going to be hoarding those keys for certain checkpoints to try and get loot that you will probably get a duplicate of something that you don't want or you don't need. And it's just really bad because the things aren't even really that good. And getting certain exotics are just as troublesome as well. Like the Thorn one's RNG to getting that, though once you get it, you get through it fairly easily. The Outbreak Prime was both better, showing that Bungie has learned from what we want as a community, but has not learned enough. Because I just got that over the weekend, and it was a mind-numbing and painful experience. Because you would have to find people who, you'd have to create a fire team of a Titan, a Warlock, and a Hunter, and you had to coordinate people on steps, and then the last one, you had to pretty much guesstimate to what you needed to get it to in order to get the weapon, which is okay. I mean, it's got kind of similar to a Firefly perk with the Siva things going on. It's not bad, but I went through all of it for about nothing. It's just, I'm burnt out with what they've been doing to this game because they want you to play it in their way, and it's like, okay, I understand that, but you bottlenecked us to this point, and then you're getting kind of angry at us for using these methods when you should have just had it open because people want to play your game. But if you bottleneck us into just doing strikes to get 2 blues, that'll incrementally, hopefully get you above, and then, God forbid, you needed an artifact or a ghost, which they've even said has been a source that they're looking into, you're kind of screwed. And in the raid, I mean, it was recommended 360 light, even though when you go into it, it says 370. You get kind of knocked back in the end part because it's 380 recommended light. So you're kind of struggling with that. I only went up like 3 light levels when I finished that raid the first time. And I'm like, that's it. I imagined a greater increase. The biggest increase I got was when I was playing Iron Banner, in that I started at like 374, and before this event even ended, I'm above 386. Well, I'm above the cap of 385, and I'm at 386, looking into how I can get up to higher, and it's just like, okay, so you just want us to play strikes to get all that, and then we're like stuck, but they made Iron Banner more rewarding. It's like, then why didn't you do this for other things? There's so many other ways that this could have been done, and it's just making the game more of a chore to play than anything. And it's just like, I'm not really as interested as like the Taken King and what was going on with the re-upped Challenge of Elders and all that. It's just like, as it's more of like Bungie trying to coast along until Destiny 2 comes along, and this makes me really question if I'm going to get Destiny 2, because also if it's ported to PC, I know some of my friends on Xbox are just going to play it on PC, and at that point I might just swear off of it because I don't understand what Bungie is doing as a game company anymore. They're more interested in trying to make this profitable and make sure people play so long and in the ways that they want them to play, more than actually creating an enjoyable experience with good, solid gameplay mechanics, which they have, a good story, and having a social space together for people to do things that they need to do and want to do. It's just, I look at it and they're a game company that are making decisions that don't make sense for a game company. It's like, I know we want content, but we need content that will sustain us to the point that you would want us to be sustained, and be like, okay, here's a new thing. Because this is about a month's worth of content, and then hoping that the live team can show you out something that you'll pop on every once in a while, and then hopefully your friends will pop up too. Because people have been saying, oh, with private matches and all that, we're good. We won't have as bad of a drought as year 2, and I'm like, no, it's going to be worse. Because people get this done, they're like, we grinded all this stuff out, and it's just so mind-numbing. It's going to be greater fatigue, faster, and drop-off is going to be substantial. And there's going to be other games. I mean, Gears of War 4 is coming out, and I mean, the Ultimate Edition has been out so people can play it, but it's out tomorrow, and all these other games are going to be coming out that are going to be like, okay, why am I playing Destiny anymore? My friends are playing other things. I want to play with my friends. And it's just like, it's the rarest amount of content, and it's more reskinned and just reuse stuff. I mean, you could have done stuff like Taken King, but the Devil Splicers are just falling with kind of different mechanics and making and penalizing you for pretty much precision shots so that a grenade can pop out and come and blow up at you. It's just like, you could have introduced a new enemy. You could have made, there's reference to like Rasputin doing constructs. You could have had Rasputin, infected Masiva, making new enemy types that could have been similar and used off kind of like the Vex, you know, since they'd be robots, but you could have done something like that. I mean, yeah, we wanted a fallen raid, but we could have you could have made a giant content thing where we had this whole story about the Iron Lords confronting Rasputin, even though we've said that we need Rasputin for Golden Age, but that would have been interesting. And then you could have possibly put in us fighting Rasputin at the end, and then like Charlemagne's Vault, which has been referenced as the raid. You could have made a bigger one worth like $60 or whatnot and had 2 raids in it. Because if you're going along the lines of that you need something to value this content, the raid's the main thing. And even that, it's a good raid. I still hold the other ones far ahead of it. And it's just, But once you get it down, or some cheeses are found, it'll be about as short as Crota almost. But that's if you can find people who know what to do for the last boss. But overall, I'm just really rethinking why I'm playing Destiny and what Destiny 2 has to do in order to bring me back. And that's mainly down to Bungie making sure that they hit their mark and doing what they need to do with a great story, great mechanics, and make the grind not be a grind. Make it fun, because that's the whole point of a game. I'm playing it to have fun. If it's become a job or a chore, it's like, okay, I gotta get in, do my dailies, and then what? You know? So, those are my opinions on Rise of Iron. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.